Hello, it's Maureen Legas with your 21 Days 2016 series. Today is day 19 and we will be reviewing business planning. We all have access to business planning tools in our market center. The new tool, the Career Growth Initiative, is a great way to monitor and track your goals online, and your market centers are offering classes on this. There are calls with KWRI on the CGI, so make sure that you ask your team leader, your MCA, about this if you're not familiar with CGI or Career Growth Initiative. Also, coming to the different market centers or regions are business planning clinics. And that would be my recommendation, to go to these clinics, learn about business planning, and then use this CGI tool to track your planning. And it's a tool that can be used for an individual or for a team. What I'm going to go over today are some forms to print out and use to get the business planning straight in your head, so that the business planning clinic and the CGI, it'll be easier to use if you understand the process of business planning. Okay, so let's start. I use some forms in business planning that I actually got from working or going to the Biz Like a Biz classes that Bob Kalinske teaches. And so I've put those forms into KWConnect so that you can easily find them. So Rollover Education, click on KWConnect, and up here you can search, and I believe if we search for 21 days that we should be able to find the forms that I added. So let's see if that works. It's thinking. Okay, the search results come up with a document, 21 days business planning sheets, my pictures, you see that's me. And we're going to click on 21 days, and what you're able to do is download these forms. So you click to download, and we're going to open up that download. It'll appear most likely at the bottom of your screen. And let me make this a little larger. So the first form that we want to use is the pre-planning, pre-class worksheet for the business planning clinic. When you register for the business planning clinic, they'll give you the pre-class worksheet to do. They may have modified this since this version, so use the one that they give you for that class. And what you're going to do is you're going to review the 4 models in the MREA Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and we're going to complete the worksheet. So the 4 models: economic, lead gen, budget, and organizational models. And we're going to start here and work our way down. So it gives you a little bit of information, so read this. So your economic model, current month this year of GCI, business expenses. And some of you might be individual agents and you look at this and say, I can't do this, I don't have this information. Well, this is a good place to start. You fill in what you do know, and then it helps you figure out what you don't know and how to find that. So of your buyers, how many of your business, what percentage are buyers, what percentage are sellers, what's your average commission? And that may vary. If you pay a lot of referral commission, your average commission might be adjusted from what the customary commission is in your area. Then you look at your average sale price, and if you're new, you might not have a good read on what your average sale price is, so you can look in your board documents and see what your local board average sales are, and you can use that to get started. Conversion rates, this is important. We're going to get to the database and talk about how to more easily track conversion rates. For closed transactions, for appointments, and contacts to appointments, appointments to listings, and listings to closed transactions. So those conversion rates, so how many contacts does it take to set an appointment? And then you get that percentage. So you need contacts divided by the number of appointments. That gives you that rate. Once you get the appointment, how many turn into listings? And again, you can get that rate. And when you have a listing, how many close? And you get that rate. So then you come down, you talk about, do you have a database, yes or no? So everyone should have some kind of database to track their clients. Your database is your source of business. Number of METs in your database, so that's important. When you add people to your database, make sure to classify them as a MET or a non-MET, because that makes a difference in our business planning. If you're not familiar with how to classify clients, go back and listen to the 21 days video. I believe it was the first or second day we talked about classifying clients. Okay, then we look at lead sources that you have, and you can check those off. And this is an eye-opener to give you other options that you might not have thought about for lead sources. Then you come down to your budget model. And again, if you're an individual agent, you might not have salaries, or you might have yourself as a salary. You look at expenses involved with lead generation, any advertising, any additional costs that you have, any giveaways, and then any other operating expenses. So operating expenses would be office rental, tech support, phone, all of these things. You add up what it is that you're paying for this. So, and a percentage of GCI. Now there's a, I believe it's page 157 in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book that talks about what these percentages should be. And you have to adjust that because that page is discussing for a millionaire agent. And if you're not a millionaire agent, you would have to adjust those percentages. Also, the new updated version of MREA will be coming out hopefully next year, and that will have updated percentages based on how we do business now. Organizational model, for many of you, it's just going to be you, and you have a chart here, and then the positions that you might have on your team. And then you look at your goals. And all of this information, this pre-planning, is what we're going to transfer onto our planning sheets. So then you can look at this information, create this, fill in this sheet to give you the information you need for your business planning. All right, then we look at the actual goal versus actual worksheet. And when I first looked at this, it looked daunting, it looked scary. But just fill in the parts that you know, and it'll help you come to terms with what you don't have a handle on and what you need to find out. Okay. This sheet here, after this actual worksheet, describes what each of these things are. So if you're not sure, you would come down here to see the description of what you're supposed to put in those fields. Okay. Now this is very similar to the pre-planning sheet, but this is your actual plan. The other was just a pre-planning sheet. Same kind of information. Plan for the year, and so we'd be planning for 2017. And your goal, your net income before taxes. Then your GCI and cost of sales. And you would fill in this sheet for your buyers and your sellers. So it helps give you the goal information that you need. So you'll be properly, you'll have the information that you need to properly fill out your 411. Okay, we talk about the database, and I mentioned to you that METs and non-METs have a different rating in the database. So the statistics for METs, for every 12 METs you have in your database, you should get 2 pieces of business. And so what would happen is someone in your database gives you business, you sell their house, and then they refer you to a friend. That's your second piece of business. For those you haven't met, it takes 50 of those people to bring 1 piece of business. So that's why it's important to know in your database who are your METs and who are your have-not METs. Then if you have-not METs, maybe someone that was referred to you that you haven't met yet, once you do meet them and work with them, you change them from a have-not met to a MET. Now, just because you have these people in your database and you have them marked as MET and not MET doesn't mean you're going to get business. You have to systematically keep in touch with them in order to generate the business, because then you're reminding them basically that you're in real estate and that they should think of you when they know someone wanting to buy or sell. So in this form, you put in how many METs you have in your database, and then how many not mets you have in your database. And so the three options for lead gen: option 1, 100% of your mets and no mets. That's what you're going to focus on, just your mets. Option 2 would be focusing on not mets. So if you're new to the business, you would have quite a few not mets. Maybe that would be your focus for now. Option 3 would be some percentage of your mets and some percentage of your not mets. So let's say you're going to use 75% of your not mets to get your business and 25% of your mets to get your business. Then you know that based on the business you want to achieve, if you have enough mets to provide that, or if you have enough haven't mets to provide that. So you're able to say in your database, you have X number of mets. You want to, so let's say, let's do an example. Let's say you're an individual agent and your goal is to have 30 transactions this year. So let's say in your database you would have 150 mets in your database. And let's say you want 100% from your mets. So in order to get 30 pieces of business, you would need to have 180 mets. And the way you know that is because it's a 12-to-2 ratio. So 30 pieces of business, multiply that by the 12-to-2 ratio would be 360. So for every 360, you get two, so you have 360, you get 2 pieces of business for every 12 mets. So you divide 360 by 2, and then you know you need 180. So your goal is 180, and you have 150. So you come down here, your goal number is 180, minus the 150 you have. So you have to add 30 people to your database, and you divide that by 12. So 30 divided by 12, you need to add 2.5 people per month. So you might have bigger goals than this. You might have a smaller database if you're a new agent, but that's how you would calculate this. So you would take the number of transactions you want, multiply it times the 12, and divide by 2, and that's how many people you need to hit those transactions. With the haven't mets, you would take the transactions you need. So in that case, if you wanted to have 30 transactions and you multiply that times 50, because you need 50 for every one, so that's 1,500. If you have, let's say, 1,000 people that you haven't met in your database, that means you need 500 more. If you divide that by 12, you need 41.6, you need 42 people a month in your database if you're going to rely just on haven't mets. Okay. Then you come down for your budget plan. You fill this out as best as you can. And then your organizational plan. And if you're a single agent, you might not have an organizational plan right now. So once you get all of that information together, you can fill out your GPS. This is also called a 135. And the way the 135 works is you put your goal, and then you have one goal, 3 priorities, and 5 strategies for each of those priorities to meet your goal. So let's say your goal would be to close 30 transactions in 2017, 50% from buyers, 50% from sellers, and deposit $90,000 in your bank account. So let's say that's your goal. So the first priority might be lead gen for 3 hours per day. And so the strategies, you might have lead gen on Monday from 8 to 11, calling referral agents in other parts of the country that would be areas where buyers might come from to either relocate or buy a second home in your area. So you want to make sure that your goals are very detailed and they explain what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and what will happen. So if you're going to lead gen and call agents, how many agents you're going to call per day, you might say call, dial 10, 20 agents on Monday, whatever your goal is, and add those 10 or 20, whatever it is, to my database. So you know what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, and what the result is. And then you go on and add the next strategy, which might be volunteering and meeting people at the school, when you're going to volunteer, what you're going to do, and what the result is, how many to add to your database. And you do that for that priority. Then you come down to the second priority, and you think, okay, what's the second priority to meet my goals? Well, the second priority might be about managing expenses, because if you sell 30 transactions, let's say, and 30 transactions in an area that maybe your average sale is $250,000, that's $7,500,000 in volume, which would be approximately $225 in GCI, and then you would have expenses. So in order to hit a goal of $90,000 in your bank account, your next priority might be to manage your expenses. So you would do the same thing and strategies for that, and so on. Once you have all of this done, all of these forms filled out, your GPS filled out, you can also fill out this action plan worksheet. This is good if you have a team. You during a team meeting, you decide what an objective is that you're going to, let's say, find a dialer for the group. Then you would say what the action steps are and who's responsible for those, or each individual team member might have their own action plan worksheet. The target objective might be find a dialer, and the person responsible will put their action steps on there to find the dialer. And you can fill this out. Now you have all of this information. Now it translates to your 411. So you're going to put what your goals are, what are your particular job goals, what's your job in the business. And if you're an individual agent, the business and the job might be pretty close to the same. If you have a team, you might have business goals, but then you also have your particular job goals to run the business, and the other members of your team have their job goals. You put your personal financial goals and your personal goals, and that's for the year. And then you break it down monthly. How does that translate monthly? And then weekly goals. So 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year is the 411. Now, you probably want to fill this out week by week and then come back and look at it. You can make adjustments for what you have to do the following week. And if you search on KW, you'll find a lot of tools to help you work on the 411. I would not do it justice trying to explain everything on how to fill out the 411 here. So you want to use some of the tools. Let me show you where to find those. If you come back to KWConnect and you search for 411, you'll be able to see all types, videos, audio, and you can look at all of this information here to help you with your 411. It's a little bit tricky to understand how to properly set goals, but they have to be measurable, and you have to be detailed in how you set your goals so that you can see whether you've achieved them. You can't just put something like lead generate, because then there's no way to measure it. You have to lead generate every day, Monday through Friday, from 9 to 12, and set 10 appointments in the week. And that way you can measure, did I lead generate from 9 to 12, Monday through Friday, and did I set 10 appointments? It's measurable. So that would be it. Now, again, I would suggest looking for a business planning clinic in your area or outside your area, getting information about the Career Growth Initiative, talk to your MCA and your team leader, and get your business plan set. Because if you don't have a direction for where you're going, then you can't really achieve what your goals are, because it doesn't just happen. It's planning, it's sticking with it, understanding what you want, and then using the tools to achieve it. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.